Retro.
What's up, guys? This is Daniel Logan, Boba Fett from Attack of the Clones, The Clone Wars, Book of Boba, Skywalker Saga game, and hopefully many more things in the Star Wars galaxy. You are listening to Jay and Dennis on Podcast Stardust. Yep, this is the way I've spoken.
Welcome to Podcast Stardust. This is the fully armed and operational podcast dedicated to Star Wars news, reviews, and discussion. I'm Dennis Keithley.
And I'm Jay Krebs.
All right, let's kick off another week with a look at some recent Star Wars news and a touch of discussion along the way. Jay, you want to remind everybody what our social media contacts are before we get started?
You got it, Dennis. We are very easily found on Facebook and Instagram at Podcast Stardust.
Okay, the Just is Lying, the signal's boosted to maximum output, the shield is down, celebration sold out, and we are now broadcasting to the galaxy. So we'll get to celebration here in a second, but this is the news for the week of May 10th, and I'm sorry, May 11th. Let's kick it off with how May the 4th went. I know you had a busy day that day, but I also know on May 3rd you had an event. How did things go?
Oh, I did. So yeah, May the 3rd was actually more Star Wars related than May the 4th for me. So on May the 3rd, I got to go to New Philadelphia, Ohio, and I was sponsored by Mad Bros Gaming there. And there's this great little festival downtown called Art on the Alley. And there's over 120 vendors. And I have to say, I've been doing this event for 4 years, and I didn't get to go last May 4th because I had car trouble. I live like an hour away, so I wasn't able to make it, and it really bummed me out. But I was so impressed this year with just the number of vendors that were actually in attendance. I feel like it doubled just from the last time. And so it's just really great to see these small towns supporting local vendors, art, artistry. There was some pottery there, local artisans, that type of thing. And I even got to have a caricature done with a couple of other cosplayers that the caricature artist, it's actually caricatures by Greg. And I did repost this on my J Snips cosplay. And he wanted to do a little bit of a mashup. So he actually drew our Anakin with the Spock live long and prosper hand. And then when he posted it with the Star Trek theme. So I just thought it was super fun. And, you know, I'm all about just poking fun at things and just having fun. So I did repost that on my Instagram. But if you want to check out Caricatures by Greg, you can see it there as well. And then, Mad Bros Gaming is always just a wonderful sponsor. I got to have tons of fun with an Anakin cosplayer, and we did some fun photo shoots and reels and just interacting with the community. There was live music there, so be on the lookout for a little rendition of Sweet Child of Mine with Anakin and I and our lightsabers. That's all I'm going to say about that. So, so that was a lot of fun. But actually on May the 4th was kind of a weird, busy day. I got to go to a retirement breakfast that morning at my old high school. But what was fun about that was it was the first time that I got to wear some of my dressier Star Wars things. So I have these shoes from Irregular Choice, which I got I feel like a bazillion years ago on eBay. And so there are these really nice dressy flats, and they have a background of like a star field. And then one shoe has Vader on the toe box. The other one has a stormtrooper. I wore my upscaled pillowcase that I turned into a tank top with a little cardigan over top of it. I had my Vader pendant from her universe. I had my wrap bracelet that has the crawl from A New Hope on it in these pieces of gold. And so I was just all decked out. So of course, when I went in there and people saw me, I was always known as the Star Wars woman, the Star Wars teacher. And so they would see my outfit and they're like, oh yeah, it's May the 4th. And so I was like, well, yeah, duh. So I had so many former students that came up to me and, said, oh, May the 4th be with you, Mrs. Krabs. So it was that was just really amazing. And then eventually I got to watch the finale of Maul Shadow Lord very, very late that evening. So that is my recap of my third and fourth for my celebration. But so yeah, so what'd you get to do?
Ooh, a little bit of everything, I feel like. I edited an episode of our podcast. Of course, we had a news episode released that day where we speculated on what we're going to do on May the 4th. I listened to a few other Star Wars podcasts. I listened to most notably, I think, Coffee with Kenobi. I listened to a couple of episodes of that. I had The Mandalorian. I finished watching season 2 of The Mandalorian. And by say I finished watching, I had all this on in the background while I was working and doing other stuff during the day. But so I was like in that last episode, the infamous Luke Skywalker episode. And then I jumped ahead to the last 3 episodes of the Book of Boba Fett, which also had The Mandalorian in them, and then started season 3 of The Mandalorian. I got through the first 3 episodes that day. So a lot of Star Wars on the TV during the day. And then I also put together a Lego set that I've had sitting around for a while, and it was the Havoc Marauder from the Bad Batch, which was a fun little set. It was some of the instructions were not as clear as I'm used to, and I completely assembled a wing wrong and had to take it apart in order to get the whole thing together. But
Oh no.
the minifigs for that set for the Bad Batch were really pretty good. I was really impressed with the detail work that they did on the helmets and stuff. So Tech is currently sitting up here on my desk because he was my favorite, even though he's gone. But I just wish they had included Omega. They had the rest of them in that group.
Aw.
But yeah, I included Crosshair, but no Omega. That's okay. I'm sure she shows up in a set somewhere else that I'll acquire at some point. And then, yeah, later in the day, caught the finale for Maul Shadow Lord. But that was the most time I've been able to devote to Star Wars on May the 4th for a while. And even though I had work to do and some other things around the house to do, it was just fun to constantly have Star Wars in my ears, Star Wars on the screen, taking an hour and a half out to put that set together in the afternoon and just kind of enjoying the fandom. And of course, I was looking forward to ordering tickets to Celebration in a couple days all the while, and we'll get into that in just a second. But we were lamenting, I think, or at least I was, a week or two ago about there just didn't seem to be much as hype around Star Wars Day. But then the day rolled around and I was just seeing all over Instagram people that I didn't know would even care were posting May the 4th stuff. And maybe it's just because it's just fun and they aren't as big as Star Wars fans and don't care about as much, but everyone else was doing it. But it doesn't matter, right? It's just such a big part of the cultural zeitgeist that everyone, showing off that one time they had a lightsaber, or that one time they were in Galaxy's Edge, or a picture from when they went to see a Star Wars movie, or they dressed up, or something out there was just really, really cool. Just getting that reminder of how big a deal Star Wars is in society, even if not everyone has been as thrilled with where it's gone over the past half
Mhm.
dozen years.
Mhm. No, I think that's a great way to put it.
Mhm.
And yeah, you had sent me your pictures of the Legos and they were really cool. I love Legos too, and I
Mhm.
haven't put together a set in so long. But like you, I was seeing so many people posting things. My neighbor even posted on her Facebook. I had made her granddaughter a Leia outfit for Christmas one year, and we did some kind of labor trading, if you will.
Mhm.
And so it was at a local con that she ended up wearing it, and that was a couple years ago. And she reposted that for May the 4th. And I had people left and right reaching out to me that I hadn't heard from in ages. There was one person specifically that I think the last time I heard from him was last May the 4th, and then he just up and was like, "Hey, May the 4th be with you." So it's just super cool. I don't know about you, but it's super cool that when people think of Star Wars, they think of you,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that really, really, I just appreciate that so much. It makes me feel so good. It really does that I'm on people's brain pans that way. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
a good thing or not, but it makes me feel good.
No, I feel the same way. We're all yeah, and I'm sure this is the same for everyone listening to this, is like we're all the Star Wars guy or the Star Wars gal, when amongst our friend group,
Right.
or and then we have a portion of our friend group is just as much of the Star Wars guys, Star Wars gals we are, whatever. But
Mhm.
I've got family members, they got a Star Wars question, they ask me. I've got other friends that like Star Wars a lot, but haven't watched all the Disney Plus stuff or haven't read as many books or as comics and things like that as I have. And so I love getting those questions. And I love it when people approach me about Star Wars with sincerity. And I feel like that's a thing that's really changed over the last 20, 15 years, where a lot of times I felt like people were asking me prior to that, questions about Star Wars almost in a mocking sense, like, what does this nerd know?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but especially with the rise, and one of the reasons why I'm disappointed about the state of Twitter/X right now is that with that and Facebook and all these other Star Wars groups, especially when Disney took over and we were all excited about The Force Awakens. I know I talk about the hype for The Force Awakens a lot, but I'm going to talk about it again. There was just this, like, we all found our people, right? And so
Mhm. Mhm.
that's what I think is the best part about May the 4th, is that once again, it's almost a real holiday. It's not an official holiday, but in a way it is. And it's not just about Star Wars. It's about the friendships. I know this sounds corny. I don't care. It's about the friendships that we've developed through Star Wars over the last several years, when May the 4th really became a thing.
Mhm.
And it's just like Christmas in a way that, everyone puts all these products out on sale and they introduce new
Yes.
products on the May 4th. And so, you want to tell me it's not a real holiday. Well, what is a real holiday? It's, it's a day that means something, that has a meaning behind it, that people celebrate. And we don't celebrate every holiday equally. That doesn't mean anything is less of a holiday. So
Absolutely. Well
thank you for
said.
attending my TED talk. But um, anyway, so I just, every day, every time I feel like, oh, this isn't as big a deal, I get pulled back into, like, yeah, it actually is. It really is. So
It really is, and it's not corny at all, and I
yeah,
think that those that are listening to this can really relate to that as well. And, one more thing about that before we move on is that I remember when Disney bought Star Wars and we started seeing all of this merch, which, by the way, speaking of May 4th drops, gotta tune into World Between Worlds for the next episode because there
yeah,
were so many things that ended up dropping on May 4th. But at any rate, I almost felt like it became a little bit too easy to find Star Wars things. I don't know about you, but it in the past, it became almost like a treasure hunt
mhm,
when we just had everything up to Revenge of the Sith. And then there was that long lull there where we thought Star Wars was over. Star Wars was historic at that point. And so I found myself going to all of these rummage sales and secondhand stores and toy stores and that type of thing to see what kind of rare goodies I could find.
mhm,
And then once Disney bought Star Wars, it just seemed like the market was just flooded and inundated with all of these products, and it almost seemed like it's not fun anymore. But since then, obviously I've come around to the way of thinking that truly is what you just said, in that it does bring us all together and it gives us this collective community. And the fact that it just goes to show that Star Wars really is forever. And that's just the coolest thing ever.
yeah. The other flip side of what you just said is that it's now possible to curate a collection, that where you were talking about before is like you had to go to like rummage sales and really seek the stuff out.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's abundance now, and I don't have to settle anymore
Right.
for a
True.
product. And it's like, if
Hmm.
I'm going to get something, it's because I really want something, not because that's what's just available.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so there is that benefit to it as well.
Yeah. Well said.
Okay. Well, I hope everyone had a fantastic May the 4th or day around that, and you got to engage in a lot of great Star Wars stuff. I'd love to hear from you all about what you did, and Jay will be sharing our contact information at the end of this episode. So reach out, let us know.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the other big event that happened last week. And we already talked about Maul. So the other big event, which is tickets for Star Wars Celebration Los Angeles 2027, went on sale on the 6th. at noon Pacific time. I thought it was funny. Jay, you and I edited this out of a previous episode because they had been advertising it was going on Pacific Standard Time. We are in daylight savings time. And so they finally updated all their websites to say Pacific time.
They did.
So I'm guessing someone else pointed out the confusion to them. I certainly didn't. But anyway.
They were listening to the show.
Yeah. You had something come up. And so you couldn't be there at time to
little family thing.
Right. And so we worked out something. I was like, I'm going to get tickets. I'll grab your ticket as well. And so I won't ask you about your experience getting tickets, but I'll be asking for your opinions about something else in a bit. And I'm sure everyone that's listening to this that was trying to get celebration tickets does not need me to remind them of the process and what happened. But for those that aren't aware and are listening to this later, I will recap it here. Tickets were, so it's 2:00 Central Time when they went on sale. And it didn't matter when you logged in to the website beforehand. If you got the email and you clicked on the link, it put you into the room that would ultimately be the queue. You know, when tickets went on sale, everyone that was there in the queue was randomized. Did not matter if you checked in there at 9:00 in the morning or 2 minutes before the tickets went on sale. Your spot in line got randomized. This is no secret. But I had 5 different browsers open across 2 machines to try and get tickets. And the reason you have to do that is you can't open multiple windows on the same browser. It just uses the same idea. You're basically all those windows in the same queue. And so you need to figure out, open your email on different browsers, yada, yada, yada. So that's what I had. So I had 5 places in line. And it quickly became apparent to me that 2 were in position to possibly get tickets. 3 were probably hopelessly behind. The VIP tickets, even at $1,200, were gone in minutes. And I was not surprised.
Crazy. Yeah. It's just, it blows my mind though.
Yeah.
How fast.
They were $750 for Anaheim, is my memory, what the price was. And they went lickety split. And so they increased the price to over $1,200, also went lickety split. Okay. But that being said, I was chatting with a very generous friend. I'm not going to name her because God forbid there should be some issue with sharing links and it comes down on people. But at any rate, she had 8 windows open across a couple different devices. And she had a couple that were farther along the queue than mine. And so to try and make a long story short, I think it was around 45 minutes. I was following the Celebration Facebook site since I don't use X and Twitter anymore, but they posted there that the VIP tickets were sold out. Well, the VIP tickets had been sold out literally, like we just said, within minutes. But all the other tickets were still available, which was actually not true because at about 45 minutes, my friend said that she got her tickets, but she had to buy all single day because the 4-day were sold out. And I was still waiting in the queue. And then she shared a link with me to one of her queues that was about to go live. And so I was able to get in and get our tickets and tickets for family, 2 family members as well. And then great. I'm trying to figure out how to get through the rest of this. I'm going to say the good things and then we'll get into the troublesome part of this. I think that's how we're going to do it. So got the email and confirming this ticket sales. I scroll down to the part that has the link to get a hotel. And for the first time in 4 celebrations, the hotel block actually worked for me. And I managed to get a hotel through that rate. I was paying less than half because I had booked a hotel prior to that just as a placeholder in case I could get something for the block. And it's not the same hotel, but I can tell you the hotel I'm getting at was at a significant discount over what I would have paid outside the block. So that was huge. And I really appreciated that part. But that just was weird to me because in the past, when I've been able to get to the queue within like 20 or 30 minutes, the block was sold out. So the fact that it was still open about an hour after tickets went on sale should have been a signal. Fast forward, helped another friend with who was not getting through the queue as well. And one of my queues that I still had open on a browser was just about to go live. And when I coordinated with him, got him and his ticket situation handled, fantastic. Pay it forward if you can. I hope that worked out for a lot of people. Here's what I'm finding. A lot of people did not get tickets. And now there are a lot of 4-day tickets showing up on secondary markets for 4, 5, 10 times in some cases more markup on that.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
this, I think, was abetted by the fact that ReedPop was allowing people to get in and buy 20 tickets at a time. I don't think they legitimately intended for any one person to get 24-day tickets. I think the idea was that someone may be showing up with a family of 4, a family of 5 for 3 or 4 days, 3 days or something like that, not the entire
Mhm.
time, and need to get single day tickets, and that's how you're going to do it. But they didn't cap the number of 4-day tickets that you want. So scalpers, using that same technique I did, opened up dozens of browsers, used their bots, they're professionals at this, is what they do for a living, and bought up those tickets. And now we're seeing a ridiculous amount of them being sold on the resale market. And that is a shame.
It
That
is.
I am really disappointed to see that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So first of all, I mean, you did everything right. I mean, there was even I know I was seeing on Instagram, there was people posting about the best way to get celebration tickets and everybody was talking about having multiple devices with multiple browsers, those types of things. And then like you said, just helping each other out and paying each other, paying it forward kind of thing. So I think that's amazing. That's what the fandom is all about.
Mhm.
And, first of all, thank you because again, I had this family thing come up and that I couldn't get on when I needed to. And so I am just so grateful that you were able to get tickets. But, at the same time, I understand what you were saying with the 20 tickets because that's how you can get your family. That's how you can, buy tickets for friends and then share them that way. But you're right. I mean, it needed to be compartmentalized in that way that, okay, yeah, you can get 20 maybe single day tickets all together, but not 24-day passes because that's just I don't know, that's just crazy
Yeah.
altogether the way that that works, and it's unfortunate because they used to have Lite, which LYTE, which was one of the only ways that you could truly buy and sell tickets reputably, where you would
Mhm.
know that your ticket was gonna work, that it was not going to have you it was protecting you essentially from those exorbitant prices of scalping that people do. And so and Light doesn't exist anymore, which I just found out about today.
Yeah.
So there is that. And then the whole hotel thing, I wasn't able to get in until several hours later. I did end up getting a hotel for myself about 3 miles from the convention center, which I don't think was horribly bad.
Mhm.
But I was also messaging back and forth with another person that I know that was able to get passes, but said, you know what, I'm just really stressed out about the whole experience of getting the tickets. I'm going to try to the next day, tomorrow at noon when they go on the block again. She couldn't get any hotel.
Right.
So by today, when we're recording this, which is Thursday, but this is coming out on the following Monday, no hotels.
Right.
So yeah,
There's a wait list out there.
there's the wait list. Yep, exactly.
Okay, so a couple things. One, when it comes to the hotel, go get yourself a hotel reservation that you don't have to pay for now in advance,
Mhm.
and then keep stalking the hotel you want. You can get on the wait list through the room block right now if you want to do that. And I'm going to guess that the chances of it paying off for you are not great, but there's still a chance. You know, we've talked about this in the past. This is the first time I've ever gotten a hotel through the hotel block, but I've always been able to get the hotel I want by coming back week after week, at random times, checking
Yes.
the hotel I want to get, seeing what availability is there. Yes, you're not going to get the discount from the hotel block, but you can probably get the hotel you want. As you were just saying, as people finalize their plans, change their plans, cancel their plans, and the like. Some people have their own room now with the intention of getting roommates, and they don't, and then they go to someone else's hotel as a roommate. And so things, or they just, whatever, life happens and people can't go all of a sudden. So there's that. Two, all the tickets are sold out, not just the VIP, not just the adult 4-day, not just the adult single day, but all the kids, single day, 4-day, whatever, they're all gone. That's never happened this fast.
Yeah.
And I expected tickets to go faster this time than most because we're talking about the 50th anniversary of Star Wars and the first celebration in the United States since 2022. There is a hunger for this event, and
Mhm.
scalpers are taking advantage of that. I am hoping that anyone who did not get tickets will be patient and starve these scalpers out. If that's the only way you can get a ticket, make them bring down their prices. Because it's, because they've invested this money. At some point, they're going to have to come down off that price if they want to move that ticket, or they're taking a loss. I mean, if they
Mhm.
bought 20 4-day tickets at $260 a piece, that's $5,200.
Right.
They have to
That's
recoup that
huge.
at some point.
Mhm.
So don't give in right now. Stay strong. I mean, easy for me to say, I've got my tickets, and I get that. But that's just it. It's just ridiculous is that those single day tickets were not intended for someone who wanted to go for all 4 days to buy. But I want to go for all 4 days and you ran out of 4-day passes. I don't understand, and I'm sure someone who runs conventions can explain it to me, why they just didn't do this. We have a certain amount of capacity at the convention per day. As long as that capacity is open for all 4 days, you can buy a 4-day ticket. But as soon as one day reaches its capacity, then you're stuck with single day tickets.
Mhm.
But instead, now you, me, and thousands of others like us that are going to be there all 4 days are paying. What did we figure it out, Jay? Something like another $100 to go for the
Yes.
4 days
Mhm.
versus what we were going to be paying for, if we got a 4-day pass. And that's not the way this was supposed to work. So look, every celebration has some sort of an issue that gets identified and then fixed for the next celebration just for a different issue to pop up.
It's
And so we
true.
know now we know what this year's is. And
Mhm.
I sincerely wish that there was some way that Repop could address this. They should not have allowed 24-day tickets. 6 4-day tickets would have been sufficient for most groups. If a group wanted to go together, I'm just spitballing this and hoping that this idea trickles down. Get the group to register in advance, identify the people that are going to go, and then give that group a code that they can enter and check out to buy 4-day tickets, so that we know that all those tickets aren't just going to end up on the resale market. I
Mhm.
realize that they could still be taken advantage of, or confirm the identity of these people at the time the tickets are bought, and then enforce a resale market. There's ways to make sure that these tickets get into the hands of fans and not gouge them through the secondary market for this. So
I
it's not
agree.
like Celebration is benefiting from any of the price of the scalpers. And this is
Right.
not a new conversation. We've seen it with every major concert that comes through, tour that comes through the country. Um, Europe doesn't have to put up with as much, like we all heard the stories of the Taylor Swift concert. It was cheaper for some people to go to Paris to see her than it was to watch in the
Exactly.
United States. So, and
Mhm.
that's not just a scalping issue. That's a whole bunch of other issues. So all that's to say, because
Whew.
we're almost actually out of time on this news episode just discussing these two things. But that's all to say that I'm excited for Celebration. I cannot wait to get there. I've confirmed with a bunch of our friends that are going to be there. There's new friends that I haven't ever met in person that are going to be there, and I'm going to see. And I am sincerely hoping, I'm keeping my fingers crossed, that other friends are going to be able to get their hands on tickets at a fair price to get there. And I hope, if nothing else, that Lucasfilm and Repop learn from this and figure out a way to do better next time. And
Yes.
one last suggestion. There is another fun Star Wars convention coming up, and that is Rebel Scum Con right in my backyard in Frisco.
Yeah.
And that is occurring August 7th through the 9th. And there's good guests. Bryce Dallas Howard was just announced as the headliner, or John Boyega is going to be there. Vanessa Marshall is going to be there. Gideon Adlin, Devin Zara herself will be there. We've got Dean Charles Chapman from The Acolyte. We've got various puppeteers. Joe Caroni, artist friend of ours, is going to be there. Let me think, who else is going to be there? Kyle Newman and some of the cast of Fanboys will be around. Many members from associated with The Mandalorian, Brandon Wade, Lateef Crowder, David Accord, they're going to be there. We got some modelers going to be there. There's going to be a really strong Star Wars presence there at Rebel Scum Con. So if you're looking for, it's not going to be Celebration. You're not going to get the big panels, but there are going to be panels there. You're going to get autograph opportunities. You're going to get picture opportunities. Denise Go, Kyle Solar. There's just lots, and there's a huge presence. Giancarlo Esposito. I'm just scrolling through their Instagram page and coming up with these people right now. There's going to be there's fun to be had at this event. And while it may not have the quote unquote prestige of Celebration, it's a nice consolation. So, anyways, throwing that out as a
Yeah.
suggestion.
Yeah. Well said. Yeah, and there's definitely some great cons around the US as well, but it is a lot of people I think are just so enamored with the idea that it's all Star Wars all the time
Mm-hmm.
and it's the big dance,
Yep.
but you're absolutely right. I mean, there's such great fan opportunities everywhere in the US. So, yeah,
Yeah.
try to take
I just
advantage of those
highlighted Rebel
too.
Scum because it is all Star Wars in that
Mhm.
regard. So,
Yes, true. That is
but
true.
and it gets bigger every single year.
Yeah, it
And
seems to be.
it's really, really developed. And so I have not got tickets yet to it, but I'm still considering. That August is busy for me. So, but August is always busy, but we'll see.
Mhm.
Okay. I intended to spend more time on these last two stories, but since we've already pretty much used up our time, I'm going to get through them pretty quickly. First up, Sam Witwer was doing an interview with the Direct. He didn't have a whole lot to say that's new, but he did drop this bit that season 2 may be here sooner than we think. And his quote is, "I know when it's coming out, but it's not a situation where the audiences will have to wait too long. I think I'm forbidden from saying what I know, but we are working on it. Been working on it for a while, and it's interesting." So we were just
Quite a
clamoring for
quote.
season 2.
Yes.
So this good news. And this leads me to believe it's going to be probably around the same time next year. I'm certain we'll be doing a panel about it at Celebration
Mhm.
next year.
Oh,
And
for
then
sure.
finally, the Maul Shadow Lord soundtrack is now available on Spotify. It was released on May 4th, Star Wars Day. It's got 38 tracks. Most of them are under 2 minutes long. The longest is 3 minutes and 14 seconds. And I could not help but laugh at the one track called A Noble End, after what we know happened with the Phantom Menace soundtrack. Um,
Yes.
I listened to the whole thing and enjoyed it. Have you had an opportunity to check it out yet?
No, I haven't, and so this is definitely something that's going to be put into my playlist for sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you can get through the whole thing pretty quickly because, like I said, a lot of them are a minute or 2 minutes because they're scene specific. And, but yeah, it's fun. I listened to that on May the 4th as well. Okay.
Sweet.
Well, that's it. That's it for this week's news. And so thank you all for joining us, letting us get our frustrations about Celebration ticket buying off our chests and indulging us as we recapped our May the 4th activities. It was fun. And so hopefully at the end of this week, I'll get into the end of this week here in just a second. But again, thank you all for joining us for the episode. We hope you've enjoyed it. We hope you consider subscribing to the podcast because we do promise we have more fun than complaining about Celebration ticket buying most of the time.
Yes, we
And
do.
we'd appreciate your ratings, reviews, wherever it is that you do listen to the show. And we invite you to head over to Director's app where you can catch the entire back catalog of 1,031 shows, along with some other great shows like Agent Steel Case Files, Enjoy Stuff, Superhero Suite, my old podcast, Warp Trails, which is kind of on a hiatus at the moment. Jay, you want to remind everybody where they can find us on social media?
Yeah, so you can always connect with us on our Facebook and Instagram pages at Podcast Stardust. And we also have Pinterest boards with all kinds of fun ideas for everything Star Wars. And we do have our 2 YouTube outlets where you can also catch all the episodes of the show. And those do support reactions and interactions and comments and that type of thing too. So please hit us up at both our regular YouTube and YouTube Music. And if you'd like to email us your thoughts on anything, either, your experience with buying celebration tickets or any of your other thoughts or opinions about Star Wars, you can do that at podcaststardust@gmail.com. And if you would like some merch, I don't know if anybody picked up any celebration merch while they were getting their tickets, but you can get some Podcast Stardust merch over on TeePublic. And the link to that is in our show notes.
All right. What is going on in cosplay?
All right, so you can always catch me on my Instagram, which is at j.steps.cosplay. So as I was talking about all of my adventures at Art on the Alley this past weekend for May the 3rd/May the 4th, you can check that out there. And all of the other adventures that I'm up to as well. So once again, that's at j.steps.cosplay.
All right. Upcoming on the show on Wednesday, Jay has the latest edition of World Between Worlds, which she's already teased us with some May the 4th releases. And then on Friday, the current plan is to get into our traditional release schedule. Now that Maul Shadow Lord is over, we will be putting the news on Friday to wrap up the week. But considering how we just did the news episode, there may not be a whole lot. So we'll be discussing something on Friday. hopefully news. But if not, we'll come up with something else, and you'll find out when you tune in. But with that, thanks for listening to episode 1032 of Podcast Stardust, everyone. Have a great week, and until next time, may the Force be with you.